Hello, Steph. This will be some video feedback for you on week 7, milestone 2. Steph, this looks really nice, and there's a lot of progress here, and your comprehension has grown quite a bit. It's quite an accomplishment. You have been able to, I think, integrate images, use what you've learned about web typography to a really good effect, and you have a really solid template in your home page for your child pages. You have provided me with a sitemap. Here's what your submission looks like, and in it I see browser testing, as you were supposed to do, and also a wireframes PDF, which is really nice to combine all your images in a single file. It makes it much easier for me to see. And your wireframes are of the illustrated variety, which I think I may have encouraged you to do. And they look very much like your home page. So good going on that, that you revisited your wireframes for week 7. I went back to your week 3 submission, and I see that you do have a sitemap. The other requirement was to have a unordered list or a coded sitemap. And I see you have an unordered list, which will become your navigation. But I don't see a fully coded sitemap. I know you must have one because, let's see, you've got a navigation system. And here is the HTML for your web page. I see you have an external style sheet. Good going on that. That was one of the biggest hurdles, I think, in the class, is to separate all your styling into a document so that you're separating style from content. Now, one thing, Steph, that I may have mentioned before, and I don't want to harp on it, but your file naming conventions aren't good. You've included word spaces which come across as % signs. I'm surprised that your site works as well as it does, given those file names. And I realize that it's very difficult to go back in and change the names of everything, but it would be good, just to amend your file naming. Okay, enough said about that. Steph, some of your testing was interesting. Here, for example, is the mobile version of your site. Did you test this before you had changed? It's funny how the navigation changes, on, say, the mobile site. And say here you have Safari. This is, pretty much the way it looks like on my screenshots on my system, because I oftentimes use Safari. But once again, your navigation seems to have changed on that different platform. Steph, I think my main comment would be to get your child pages to work, and have perhaps, it doesn't have to be extensive content, but at least have enough content so that you're not using the Latin for dummy content. I really like your choice of images, though. This persistent basil leaf is very fresh. Also, I want to be able to get back home. Here we have about, but when I click on the home screen, I'm going to a page that doesn't exist. Now, part of this might have something to do with word spaces in your file names and directory names. The naming conventions for directories are really no different than the naming conventions for files, except that only files have extensions. Directories do not have extensions, typically. So maybe get a little content on these pages and make sure that you can get back to the home page. For here, for example, I have a placeholder page for about our story, but when I try to click on home, I go to a GeoCities page. Now, I'm hoping things are becoming clearer to you about file management and how to navigate, upload, and delete, say, files remotely from a server. But you've come a long ways. You've wrapped your head around a lot of information, Steph, and I wanted to encourage you so that you're proficient in most categories here and just needs a little bit of refinement and filling out your child pages to be a complete object. Good going.